Okay, so President Trump just said that he wants to send out, or plans on sending out, 1,700 National Guard troops to 19 different states to help with crime. Now, for everybody who says this is not a racist thing or has nothing to do with politics and how poorly he's doing currently right now with trying to gerrymander the rigs for the midterms, uh, well, let's just go back and look at history and the presidents of the past and why they sent the National Guards out to protect citizens. All right. Well, we jumped on USA Today, and they had an article about past presidents and what they did with the National Guard. Eisenhower was the first to do it because there were big time riots over desegregation. That's because of racism. And then once again, President Kennedy was the next to do it. Poor guy was murdered because he was not a white supremacist, basically. And of course, Kennedy was just trying to help with the desegregation, with the integration of black kids and children into schools and college campuses. But then what? Then we got Johnson sending in the National Guard troops for a riot in Detroit. Let's see. Now, why were the riots in Detroit in 1967? Can anyone venture a guess? History tells us that it was due to racial profiling and brutality by the police and inadequate housing and infrastructure and all the systemic racial things that the white supremacists have put into power in the government from top to bottom. So they weren't protecting the people, they were protecting the white supremacy power. Let's not forget Nixon. Nixon also used them to put down a postal strike. Once again, the National Guard were utilized to protect power and protect money and not let the postal workers unionize. But that backfired and they ended up unionizing anyway, and the strikes went nationwide. That's right. Those strikes went nationwide. Just saying, I don't know why Washington, D.C., anyone who lives there would be showing up for work on Monday or at all next week or at all next month. Next, Bush sent the National Guard out to the Virgin Islands to help quell some violent unrest there, which once again was about money and racism. Go ahead and Google that on your own. And then he had to, in 1992, send the National Guard in to help stop the Rodney King riots. I was in high school. I witnessed this history unfold every single day, live on television, from the Rodney King beating that we watched live, and we watched it over and over throughout news for weeks to come. We watched the trials, we watched the verdict, and then we watched the riots happen and watched everything unfold. Once again, all because of racist cops' brutality and the way they treat black men when they pull them over. Whether he was on drugs or not has nothing to do with what happened. But it was the unrest of the people that made change. Which brings us to our current dictator in Queef. So we know he sent out, because he doesn't like Governor Gavin Newsom, he sent out National Guard to help protect ICE, even though ICE was not under threat of violence, and they were the ones causing all the violence, along with the LAPD. But you know what? That's business as usual here in the United Racist States of America. And once again, why are people in Washington, D.C. going to work at all? Blackout should be starting Monday. Now. Yeah, obviously, Trump sending National Guard to D.C., which is heavily black, and Chicago and other heavily black cities that are not red states isn't political and isn't race driven at all. No, not whatsoever. Anyway, we'll see you down the road. until we don't, you bunch of fucking idiots.